want to start by welcoming Code for America's Senior Director, Nicole Neditch. Code for America believes that government can work for the people, by the people in the 21st century. They organize a network of people who build technology to further local government's priorities of creating healthy, prosperous, and safe communities. The goal, government services that are simple, effective, and easy to use for everyone. Right. Nicole, go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks so much. First, just a public service announcement. These tables will be used to come mingle with us after, but if you want to come join us and sit down here, it's a little bit lonely up front. Please do. Hi, everybody. My name is Nicole Neditch. I'm the Senior Director of Community Engagement at Code for America. We work with governments all over the country. We're a national nonprofit organization. We've been around for 6 years, and we work to bring government organizations into the 21st century through digital technology. This short educational presentation is focused on community engagement. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what we've learned about community engagement over the years of doing this work. Okay, so I'm going to start by telling a story. For those of you that have been around and following the progress of Code for America may have heard this one before, so I apologize. This is one of our earlier stories, but I think that it helped really root us in the world of community engagement and gave us a perspective on it that was a little bit unique. So in 2012, we partnered with the city of New Orleans. At the time, it was 7 years after Hurricane Katrina, and the city was still working on rebuilding and dealing with a big problem around blighted properties. 1 in 3 properties was blighted. The mayor in New Orleans, Mayor Landrieu, was really concerned about this problem. It presented a big public safety and public health issue for the city and was working really hard to figure out what the city could do in order to work on these blighted properties. There were lots of different departments and agencies that collected data about the state of any particular property, but there wasn't a single database or a single source of information for any of this data. So his question was, when am I going to be able to stand in front of a property and figure out what is going on, where this property is in the process? Alan Square, who was the chief information officer for the city of New Orleans at the time, started looking into it and started working with a variety of the vendors that the city had great relationships with, and continuously was told it's going to be 3 years and $3 million. That wasn't acceptable in the mayor's mind. He really needed to know what was going on now. This was a big issue. So this was our second year of our fellowship program, and we put 3 fellows onto this project. This is Amir, Eddie, and Alex. And they went to the city of New Orleans and started doing a ton of research about what the issues really were. There was a really active and engaged community already around this particular problem. They were hosting these blight stat meetings, which were incredibly packed meetings, as you can see, and lots of people would come and ask about particular properties, and they would organize a panel of experts, people who had access and information about any particular property, to be able to respond to all of those queries. There were also a lot of really engaged community members. So this is Miss Rita. Miss Rita made it her charge to understand what was happening with any given property in her neighborhood. And she had these complex data systems that she had on paper where she was working with all of these individual government agencies to understand where properties were at in the process. So the fellows started researching all of these things. They started pulling together all of these various different data sources. And in 3 months, not 3 years, they were able to stand up a very simple web interface that had an address bar where you'd type in the address of a property, and then you'd get a FedEx-style tracking tool that would let you see where exactly this property was in the process. This was amazing. The mayor was really excited. He finally had the thing that he could stand out in front of a property with his iPad on and look up a particular property. But what we were really impressed with was not necessarily the interface or the fact that you could see the property, but it was what happened as a result of that. Those meetings that had been taking place where there was a lot of frustration and anger and people coming to the table to sort of air their grievances all of a sudden became a productive conversation because people had access to the information and the knowledge that they need and to be better informed and to come to the table with ideas about how to improve the situation. So that really sort of marked a pivotal point in Code for America's trajectory of seeing that there was so much more to community engagement than just getting more people to participate. It was really about driving a different kind of conversation. So that's led us to our current vision statement, which is government can work for the people, by the people in the 21st century. We really do believe this, but it's only if everybody comes to the table and helps make that happen. And so much of that is really centered around having really clear goals and having access to information and data that helps deliver on those goals. So we organize a community of people all over the country and now all over the world. We have 120 different brigades. These are community volunteer groups that are in cities all over the country. That get together weekly, monthly, to work on projects that are going to impact their communities. That's 40,000 volunteers that have signed up through these programs. We've run this fellowship program now for 6 years, and we've put 146 fellows through this program. So we have these amazing people who have given a year of service to work on these variety of problems in 40 cities, counties, and states across the country. And we organize a network of over 350 governments. And a bunch of other countries have raised their hands too and said, we want something like this where we live, whether it's Japan or Germany, et cetera. So there's a whole bunch of organizations like Code for Japan, Code for Germany, Code for the Caribbean, who are also doing this work, and we're part of an international network of people that are trying to make government work better in the 21st century. All of us together, our goal is unified. Government services that are simple, effective, and easy to use for everyone. This isn't just for some, it's for everyone. So this last year, we took all of this work that we had done and started to think about what are the various different trends and themes that we've seen across this body of work. And we developed what we're calling our community engagement standard. And it has 5 key tenets. So reach, information, channels, productive actions, and feedback loops are the 5 key tenets of this. And I'm going to talk about what each one of those things means. So on reach, I think Stuart said it in the opening presentation, but I think all of us feel like, and I used to work for local government as well, we're doing a really good job of engaging our communities. There are tons of people participating. You're getting calls all the time. You're going to these packed public meetings. But a lot of the times, the people that we're reaching are not representative of the community that we're trying to serve. And so a lot of the work that we've done is trying to actually understand who are the underrepresented people in these conversations and how do we get them to the table? Because it really takes a representative group to be able to inform actions. It's hard to actually glean what this slide is about, but this was from a survey that we did with the city of Oakland, where they were trying to get good information about how they could improve their website. And they were really excited about the results of the survey. They got over 1,000 respondents. They were aiming for 400. That was really great. But when we did a breakdown, we used a simple tool that we created to do an analysis of the census data versus the people who responded. We saw that it was really only reaching a small percentage of the city. And there were huge sections of the city, primarily, if you're familiar with Oakland, the Fruitvale district and East Oakland, that were not responding to the survey at all. In fact, we had 0 respondents from those areas. So we can't build a website that works for everybody if a huge percentage of the population isn't actually responding and giving us feedback. So by doing this, it was a really simple way to be able to see we need to increase our outreach in these particular areas. how are people utilizing the website in these areas, and how do we actually reach them using the channels that we have? The second point is around information. So we need to make information easy to use and easy to access. This is somewhat counterintuitive to a lot of people. It seems so basic. There's nothing innovative about this, but it's actually really, really, really hard. It's a really hard problem. I think we are used to, when we're working in government, writing reports that really suit the needs of the internal agencies to the needs of policymakers and things like that. We're not really thinking about how people are actually utilizing this information, people who have no idea about organizational structure or how the budget works, things like that. So really turning websites and applications and things like that you're developing onto its head and saying, how are people accessing this information? What is the information that they need in order to be able to access a government service? We talk about clarity and writing at an 8th grade reading level. Gov.uk is a really great example of this. Channels is the third one. So meeting people on a variety of different channels. People access information through a variety of ways, and it's not enough to just say, okay, we're going to make everything digital now. There are a lot of people who are still not accessing information. This picture is from a project that we did in South Bend, Indiana, where we realized that the majority of the population that we were trying to reach was most comfortable with voice-based technology. The government really wanted a database where they could look across all of the feedback that they were receiving and see trends and things like that. But using simple commodity-based technology, we were able to stand up an application that allowed for people to use the channel that they wanted to use, which was voice, but it would come back in a way that was consistent and represented data and trends that the government could act on. The fourth one is around productive actions. So being really clear about how people can come to the table and help make these things better. Inviting them to public meetings is great. You should do that for sure. But then once they're there and they really want to see change, what can they do to help make these processes work better? We have hosted a ton of hackathons and things like that to get people together and work on productive actions. But there are so many ways that you can do this. And it really comes down to creating clear, actionable ideas that people can work on with you that lead to outcomes that are going to benefit you and the work that you're doing. And then feedback loops is the final one. And this is really key to successful community engagement. People need to see that their productive actions, that their productive contributions are actually changing the way in which governments work. This was from a project that we did in Miami this year, where prior to this, there were great signs in every permitting inspection center asking for feedback about the process. People were filling out comment cards and putting them into a box. And then those boxes were getting emptied and filed away for safe storage. Great if you have a complaint that you need to go back and look back on what happened. Not great in actually helping drive changes within the organization. So we helped stood up a text messaging application that actually goes directly to the people who can make decisions about process. It gives it to them in both data and analytical ways, but also in just how people are talking about the experiences that they're having. And then we've made all of this very public for everybody to see what kinds of feedback they're getting and how they're turning that into changes that are productive. So we're really trying to work ourselves out of jobs at Code for America because we really want to be able to say at some point that just government works for the people and by the people. I think we all know that there's a ways to go for that, but we're really excited, and it's amazing to see some of the work that's being done at the state of California and throughout California really towards this mission. You can sign up for our mailing list here. We put out all opportunities for collaborations. We host a big conference in November, but we'd love to hear from all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nicole.